All right, so next up is the player's path. This is very, very important to help communicate your ideas. Without the player path, it makes reading the map and understanding what it is as a designer you're trying to communicate very difficult, right? The whole purpose of creating this map is that you could hand it off to another classmate, another teammate, another designer, and they could create that level based off of the information you've provided in your map. So they know the order in which the interactions take place, they know how to build the overall interactions, and they know how to build and lay out the level itself and the overall geometry. So you want to communicate everything you can into this map, right? The player path showcases the footsteps, right? Think of these literally as the footsteps that the player takes throughout the level. Right, this helps communicate the thoughts that you're having and the plan in which the player wants to complete the objectives in your level. So the path should lead the player through the interactions within the area. So don't have the path exist and then all of your collectibles and all of your interactions are off of the path. Put obstacles, put interactions right on the player's path and lead it through the overall level. The optional path, which you'll find on your legend for your map, is something that you can use to showcase additional interactions that aren't necessary, or maybe another additional way to enter into the same space or the same area. Again, be careful with this. Don't just have everything be optional, or don't make too many optional things. Again, keep in mind we want players to experience the majority, if not all, of the level, but the optional path helps portray and showcase other interactions the player can utilize or complete. All right, and then along the player's path, include note numbers. We're going to get to this in the next video when I go over notes in more detail. About along the player's path, you'll put the note numbers, and then in your written notes, you number them in a way that they match exactly with what the player is doing at that point in the level. So that way the written notes, which should all by themselves communicate what the player is doing and be enough to build the level just by the written notes, they are then connected to the visuals of the map, and we know exactly where those interactions takes place and what the layout of the level looks like at that point in time. So be very detailed with this path. If you want the player to backtrack in an area, draw the arrow going, if it's a hallway that's running north and south, and you want the player to start at the bottom, right, and work their way up to a point, and then somehow turn around and go back down that same hallway, draw the arrows going both directions. Really showcase every single pathway you want the player to take, every step that the player should take to complete the level, right? And then you might notice some of these issues or some of the mistakes that you can correct. So if you can see the path is becoming confusing and messy, players are going to be experiencing the same thing, right? If the player path is overlapping and crossing and backtracking and it's all over the place, it's going to be difficult for players to actually follow that path naturally, right, by player communication and just guiding them through the level. So you want to build a path that's conducive and makes sense and overall leads the player through the interactions. So yeah, definitely be as detailed as you can. Include every single step. So the primary path is the main interactions that they have to complete the level. Everything else you can portray with the optional path. And you can update the colors if you'd like to as well. By starting by default, the primary path is black and the optional path is gray. If you want to change any of those colors to make the primary path blue and the optional path white, that's totally fine. Just make sure the legend is updated and communicates what is on the map.